Hello, and welcome to Community Voices, where we talk to Humboldt County's movers and shakers. Today's guest, Dr. Kintay Johnson, President, Eureka NAACP. And now here's your host, Paul Bressoud.
Hello, and welcome to Access Humboldt's Community Voices. I'm Paul Bressoud, I'm your host. Today we're speaking with Kintay Johnson, the president of the Eureka chapter of the NAACP. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, I always start the interview by asking, what does the person's job entail? So what does being the president of the local NAACP entail?
Okay, as president of the NAACP, is something that I learned when I went to national. You're kind of the face, so you get to lead the organization on the day-to-day. Like I was stating, these positions are volunteer-based, so none of them are paid. So we depend a lot upon our membership, such as our vice presidents and our secretary and our treasurer to help run the organization. But as president, I get to lead the organization, daily, the meetings. I'm also the chair of our legal redress committee. I lead our also lead our general membership meetings. I'm in charge of the finance committee. I also get to represent our region at the state level. So for California, Hawaii business, when it comes to national chapter, I'm the face. So I'm the voting member, and I get to cast votes on behalf of our community members, in this area. I'm kind of new to this, learning it as I go, but it's definitely been eye-opening and a rewarding experience being involved in the legislative process that's starting to take place.
Now, a national organization founded way back in 1909. Chapters in every state?
Yes.
So there's chapters in every state. Are there national conventions and whatnot that you would attend as well?
Yes. So for instance, we just had the national convention. The 114th was in Boston this year, Massachusetts. There were roughly about 1,400 voting delegates. We voted on 48 different resolutions regarding from representation, ensuring that people had proper representation when it comes to public defenders, civil rights, LGBTQI rights, standing up against Jewish hate, passing, we even talked about sanctuary cities. It was a plethora, of different resolutions. It was a really long day, actually. But it was really rewarding because that's what you really get to see what the organization is about, what the stances are nationally. So then as a branch here locally, those are all issues that then we can get behind and champion too.
And as the president, you're the representative of this local. You take those concerns to the state, and then from the state to the national.
Yes.
I was lucky enough to be a CTA state rep.
Okay.
And so I've gone through those long days where you take that stance on an issue, and it does feel great because you have an organization that has the power to do so. How did you wind up getting involved?
Well, luckily I had a mentor here when I first moved into the area who was involved in the organization, and he talked a lot about it. But I was in school, so I figured I didn't have enough time to get involved. And then, I'm married and I have family, and I would say national issues started popping up, such as Tamir Rice, Oscar Grant, Sandra Bland, George Floyd. Then all of a sudden, I was like, I can't just, even though I'm behind here, we live here in our curtain, it's like I got to do something locally. So I decided to get involved and just started looking at different ways, and the NAACP was like one of the first ways that some community members was like, come join us. So.
And then was it one of those kind of pathways where you're going to the meetings and then the next thing you know, you're volunteering for things, and then the next thing they know, they say, there's a leader of the future?
Pretty much. That's definitely how it worked out. I just wanted to help out, be involved. And as I was attending the meetings with my wife, some people was like, hey, you should consider running for office. And so I was like, I don't know, you know. So my first office or first position as part of the organization, I was the first vice president. So I did that, and that's how I got my feet wet. And then from there, they was like, okay, you served as first vice. What about president? You want to run for president? And so I ran for president, and they elected me. So.
And how long is your term?
2 years.
2 years?
I just started this January.
And are you a person that thinks about re-election? Are you a person that has, you know, you have an agenda of what you'd like to get done, and if that, and obviously new things will pop up. If that doesn't, you'll continue on until you feel you've made your mark?
Well, I personally feel like I'm just a steward, you know.
Right.
I'm just here to help and serve on behalf of the community. If it's the will of the community that I'm elected again to serve, then I'll serve. If there's a need, I'll serve. Our organization, we're small but mighty, but it's also, it can grow. So we could use new membership, newer, a younger injection of people involved in it. So that way it does have some more sustainability and longevity.
Well, let me ask that question. You're talking about an organization that's 114 years old, an organization that is large enough and long-standing enough to have chapters in every state. But what is its appeal to younger folks nowadays?
That's a great question. I think it appeals, or should appeal, shall I say, to younger folks these days, because a lot of the issues that are being discussed at the local level, state level, and as well as nationally is going to impact the world that they're going to be living in. I look kind of young, but, you know, I'm a little older, you know? And so when I went to national and I was in the room with my colleagues and I was looking around, and we were talking about issues about laws, such as ensuring that there's equal or equitable pay for public defenders so that people who need public defenders can get a quality public defender. We're talking about standing up for LGBTQIA rights and standing up and ensuring that, like, the civil rights that's been granted to us all don't continuously get rolled back. I may not be alive for some of those changes when they take place, but this younger generation after me will be. And we're talking about one of the most respected civil rights organizations in the world, who
probably
has an immense amount of legislative power and persuasion. I mean, the public speakers who came to national, Amaya Presley, Senator Chuck Grassley, Hillary Clinton, Kamala Harris, all was at national. I mean, where can you get a lineup of people like that to just come in one place and to speak to people about issues that could unite us under one thing? And that happened at national. I've never gone to a conference where there's been that much star power or firepower or just political will in the room. So that, to me, showed the influence and the power that the branch itself could have.
Were you a voting delegate?
I was.
So you were on the floor?
I was.
Fantastic. It's an incredible experience, isn't it?
It is.
I always felt that way. when I was at the CT, I always felt that power of doing something important. Well, because you talk about the inclusion, and that's what your job is here. You're the natural for that kind of job. You are the director of the Student Center of Equity and Multicultural Studies. You call it the MEC, Multicultural, say it, because I've got the...
I know, it's such a long acronym.
I know, and I wrote it down really small. And
CR, we love our long titles at CR. I just. But no, I'm the director of Student Equity and the Multicultural and Equity Center. See, it's such a long
Equity
title.
Twice. I thought I'd written it down on a mistake, but...
So like the Student Equity is like, it's a program, right? That's a statewide program that's basically, and it's more like an initiative to reduce disparities or equity gaps among students. And then we're fortunate enough to have a center that we like to call the Home Away from Home, the MEC, as we call it. And that's the place for all our students. You can come in there. We got the couch is nice and comfy. We have tea on, snacks. You know, it's a safe place for students. We do a lot of activities and things like that. So it's the MEC.
Do you see the goals of the NAACP aligning with the goals of an organization like the MEC? Or do you see the MEC as a natural transition to get people interested in a larger organization?
Oh, wow, that's a great question. I do, actually. I feel I'm fortunate that my role as president and my role as director of student equity, there is a lot of crossover. As president of the NAACP, I'm actually able to talk to young people about getting involved with local organizations like the NAACP, El Centro, being involved with Equity Arcata, being involved with Cumbre, being involved in just your civic duty as a citizen, such as answering the jury summons, going to a PTA meeting, you know, like running for office, you know, things that young people could do to just help make the community a better place. Like we can sit there and we can complain about stuff all day long, but being part of the solution, right? Being at the table where these decisions are being made, like that's how you really be a part of something that's long lasting, that's sustainable.
You mentioned other representative groups. As the president of your local chapter, are you reaching out to those groups and creating coalitions, so to speak, about these very issues?
Yeah, we try to definitely partner with other organizations for sure. Queer Humboldt, El Centro, Equity Arcata, Humboldt Area Foundation has been a great partner. There's been a lot. For instance, when we heard about the Jardine in Arcata kept being vandalized, to show our solidarity as a branch, we've started to hold our general membership meetings at the garden. And it's also encouraged our membership and other community members to donate to the garden. So we're trying to bring awareness around it, and as well as just ensure that it is, you know, that place to be able to provide that a needed service like it does to our community.
Do people wind up attending other organizations' meetings or events or actions?
That's a great question. I want to thank the city of Eureka, actually, for bringing us all together, because they've started to do that. We've created, over the last few months, what's called the Humboldt Equity Consortium, or we're calling it HEC. We like our acronyms. We like our acronyms. But this committee is bringing together just what you're talking about. It's allowing for all these different organizations that hasn't historically worked together, or had an avenue to come together to talk about events or initiatives or places where to share those things. So we've been able to do this at these HEC meetings. We're building a calendar. We're sharing each other's events. So it's coming. It's a work in progress.
It is a work in progress. I remember when I was with Eureka Teachers Association, we marched with the co-op when they were trying to take their vote and unionize, which they eventually did. And it was great to have groups cross over and work with each other. There's a lot of empowerment in that. You mentioned some of the committees that you are the chair of, and there's one that interested me when I was reading on the website, the Legal Redress Committee. Can you explain what that does?
So Legal Redress Committee is, as a branch, one of the most important committees that we have. It is a way for community members who have experienced some form of discrimination or hate or prejudice to be able to report that incident to their local branch. And then the local branch will then reach out to the community member about the incident, and then we can either make a legal recommendation for a lawyer and say, hey, you need to talk to somebody about what happened to you, or maybe that community member is experiencing some discomfort or discrimination in a legal environment, and they just need someone to sit in with them for support. Then they will request for an NAACP member to sit in with them to serve as, support while they're going through the legal proceedings. We've also been involved in mediation, so to speak, not like legal mediation, but like just being a vehicle to help bring two parties together when there's been incidents of discrimination or prejudice, and the family may not have been comfortable reaching out to the school or something on their own, so they'll reach out to the NAACP, and then we'll reach out and try to bring everybody together.
Do individual members join the NAACP? People would join and I use the union analogy because I worked in a union, so I worked in a group like that. Do you join? Do you buy a membership into the NAACP?
Yes.
And then if you are a member, does that give you the right to, or is part of the membership, the benefit of the membership, to be able to have some of this legal advice or to connect with a lawyer?
Oh, yes, but you don't have to be a member to submit what we call a legal redress incident or complaint form. The form's online. You go to EurekaNAACP.org, and then you just fill out the form. We get it, and then we will contact the community member. But you don't have to be a dues-paying member to be able to submit that. We are not lawyers, though, so we can't hire a lawyer from someone or anything like that. And once someone does obtain a lawyer, right, then our role as far as in advising the person will stop because they have legal representation.
Is that the most challenging aspect of your day-to-day job, chairing this committee?
It is, because one, we don't have enough people. The committee meets every first Sunday. We meet online, so we try to make it easy for members who want to serve as part of legal redress. We try to make it easy for them, but there's a lot of incidents that come up, and due to our small numbers, or sometimes even due to the racial makeup of our committee, because we live in a predominantly white area, right? My white colleagues may not be comfortable taking on certain situations, right? And it's not that like they don't have the capacity to do so. It's more one of those things where we need more people of color, honestly, serving on this committee to be able to be there and to be able to help and assist our people.
Is there an idea to recruit more people of color
Yes.
to be part of the organization? Is that something that the organization in certain areas, of certain demographics, has a difficult time obtaining that kind of membership in that way?
I think in the past we haven't had problems. COVID has really impacted us a lot. We used to meet in person. Then COVID happened, we went online when everybody was home and things was a lot slower. Even our online presence and our membership meetings, there was a lot of people. Now the world's opened back up, people are busy again. So, you get your dedicated few people who show up. But our desire has always been to continuously try to grow our membership. Like I said, I just came back from National. I was able to meet with some other presidents and received some great ideas about how to grow membership and how to do more community events to bring people together that would then highlight the organization, and you can then also bring people in that way.
Well, do other chapters have that problem?
Well, to be honest, membership growth does not seem to be a problem for the branch at this time, I would say. So I don't think so. What I've seen, this was the first time, from my understanding, that the national convention was face-to-face, and the turnout, it was an amazing turnout. And there were several branches who were awarded for growing their membership. So membership is growing. It's there's issues that branches have used to be able to fundraise off of.
What about events? You just mentioned that you got ideas for events. What kind of ideas and what kind of events are you thinking of?
So in the past, we've done our soul food dinners, and our soul food dinners have been really, really big a way of bringing community back together. There's a desire to do that as well. I would like for us to do membership drives around growing our youth branch. That's something that we want to do as well. I got a couple ideas about some socials and things that were thrown my way. One, like we want to do like a fancy dinner and have like the membership be included in the fancy dinner. But that's also would be a way for us to, highlight the current membership, grow membership, talk about the branch, the state, state of the organization, things that we want to do. Some of my other peers are doing things like golf drives. A couple of us, we like to play golf, and they're like, well, you could throw the membership in the golf drive. So people have given me all kinds of ideas, from like fairs to dinners to like a banquet, or, so we'll see,
You mentioned a youth branch.
Yes.
Are there chapters that have youth branches of the NAACP?
Yes, sir. They are. There's even branches that's affiliated with colleges. So, yeah.
Might there be a branch at College of the Redwoods?
That is
with a long
right?
name and a acronym,
right?
of course.
That it's funny you say that. I was joking with the membership but not really joking, that I would kind of love to have my dream would be to have a joint CR in Cal Poly, Humboldt.
Seems like a natural.
Where we have both two organizations already closely working together in a lot of stuff, and we have our students already attending a lot of events and stuff together. But why not something like that too? So.
That's fantastic. Now, speaking of an event, we're running out of time here. Back to your director of the MEC job. You have a festival coming up, right?
Yes, we do. We've been fortunate enough that our friends with El Centro, Cumbre, Equity Arcata reached out, and College of the Redwoods is fortunate enough to be the hosting site for Festa Hundo Community Day, which is September 16th. And they'll be here at College of the Redwoods on a Saturday.
And that will include?
So that event will bring together different community organizations, service providers, and other organizations, as well as our Latino and Spanish-speaking community, bring them all together in the same place. There'll be different events, workshops. We're going to have a mariachi band. There's going to be a disaster preparedness workshop. Got a workshop happening on how to run for office. There'll be games and activities for the kids to do. We'll have food vendors. And there are also going to be a lot of different organizations tabling and vendors too. So it's going to be a very fun day.
All right. So that's September 16th. That is about all the time we have for today. I want to thank my guest, Kintay Johnson, the president of the local NAACP and the director of the MEC here at College of the Redwoods. And I love the Brooklyn Dodger cap. Thank you for joining us. This is Paul Bressoud saying we'll see you next time on Community Voices. Thank you so much. You're fantastic.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on Community Voices. If you represent a nonprofit that is interested in being a guest on Community Voices, email info@accesshumboldt.net. Access Humboldt, local voices through community media.